Hey, hey, Sharon Polsky here, your GLP-1 Fact Fairy, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the WeightCare Podcast, conversations on a new era of weight management and GLP-1 weight loss medications. And today, I have a very special guest for you, Jacqueline, and she is one of our WeightCare customers. She actually started her weight loss journey prior to coming to us. And then she got a little stuck on her journey and then decided to join WeightCare and has now lost 57 pounds. So it's a really exciting conversation. She did do a little bit of lifestyle intervention, but she isn't going to the gym every day. She isn't eating perfectly. Like, she had bagels this weekend. She had donuts this weekend in celebration, and she's still losing weight. Now, that's not the norm. She eats pretty healthy most of the time, but it's kind of goes to show you that if you start focusing on some of the lifestyle intervention things, you will be successful in addition to your GLP-1 weight loss medication. So we're going to have a conversation with her about her side effects, her journey, her life, like how much of her life has she struggled with her weight and things like that. And so I'm hoping some of you that are sitting at home kind of see yourself in her and can get some hope and get some inspiration from stories like hers. So that is today's episode on the WeightCare Podcast. So I am super excited to welcome Jacqueline to the show. Jacqueline, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, what your life, just your personal lifestyle every day is like.
Okay. Hi, Sharon. So my name is Jacqueline. As Sharon said, I'm 41 years old. I live in Long Beach, California. I'm a lawyer, married, no kids, 2 cats.
I was just going to say, but you have kitties, which might as well be kids.
My 2 kitty babies. And yeah, that's general. I'm originally from the East Coast, so I travel back there to see my family a lot. And yeah.
Awesome. And I know we've talked about this in the past. I think it's really important for us to normalize conversations about weight, because the more we talk about it, the less shame people are going to feel about it. And so tell us a little bit about your weight loss journey. Have you been heavy your whole life? When did it start? What do you think caused it? And we'll go from there.
Sure. Okay. So, I have always as a child, I was athletic and I was always involved in sports, but I always skewed towards a little bit overweight. Comes, I believe, genetics. My dad and everyone in on that side of the family is overweight. My mom, on the other hand, was really good about eating healthfully and exercising and working out. So I feel like growing up, I was always on the cusp of just borderline being overweight, but playing sports and having my mom home cooking was great. So fast forward, I played sports through high school. I go to college and all bets are off. You're up to your own devices. You're eating everything in the food court. And
well, that's why they call it the freshman 15.
That's right. And I sure put that on. And I think that's when kind of my yo-yoing started from that point forward. And I was always, the woman who was probably a size 12 to 14. And then if I lost weight, I'd be a size 10 and feel great about myself.
But you were never a size 2, even as a child. You were never that little.
No. In high school, I was a size 10 and I felt amazing because I was working out and I was in shape. And, I was never like a thin person. Always, I'm a shapely woman, so
for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my struggles with weight as an adult became the kind of typical story that you hear of stress eating. I went to law school. I'm in a new environment. So I'm eating because I'm stressed. I'm eating fast food because I don't have time to cook, that kind of thing. And then slowly over the years, it creeps up. So the old fluctuating 20 pounds becomes 40 pounds. And I've gained and lost 30 to 40 pounds several times in my life. And then I met my husband and we were dating, and you get comfortable and then you put on weight there. And I got up to an all-time high. And I would never discuss.
What was your all-time high?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. My all-time high was 260 pounds. And that's when I met you, Sharon, and I was losing weight for my wedding. And I lost about 40 pounds at that point. And I felt great. I thought, okay, I would love to get under 200 pounds again, but if I'm like 225, that's fine. But COVID hit. And again, I'm a stress eater. I'm a nervous eater. I was bored. I was doing nothing. Yeah. And so it just all culminated in my new high that I reached last, I want to say in 2023 is probably, or late 2022 is probably when I noticed you stopped weighing yourself. Oh, gee, I wonder why your clothes aren't fitting you. And I finally got the nerve and thought, okay, I'm going to weigh myself. And I was 297 pounds. And that was when I thought, okay, this is dire. This is not about looks like it used to be. This is about my health. I was turning 40 and I started to get really scared. And I just thought, like, what do I do? This now seems impossible. Oh, what used to be 20 to 30 pounds to lose is now about 100 pounds to lose. And I just don't know
Yeah.
what to do.
And what I think is interesting about this story is it didn't happen during COVID. It started in college. This
That's
has
right.
all been layering since
Yes,
you were 19 years old. So,
that's right.
a lot of our listeners are like, well, I want to lose weight in 2 weeks, or I want to lose weight in 6 weeks, or I want to lose weight. But you've been gaining weight since you were 19. If you're really going to be honest with
Hmm.
yourself, and that's what these conversations are about, you
Hmm.
started gaining weight when you were 19.
That's right. That's right. And you never, I mean, I think, when I was in law school and after a while, I had started like working out regularly, I got back down to about 180 pounds, but that was short lived. So, yeah, you're right. It's that as an adult, you just keep gaining, or I just kept gaining,
Yeah.
and you never fully lose it.
Yeah. And I think that that's really the constant narrative for 99% of my weight loss clients, regardless if they're taking a
Hmm.
GLP-1 or not,
Yeah.
is this started a very long time ago. And now I don't know what to do because what
Yes.
used to work no longer works. And it's
Right.
because your metabolism changes it because
Mhm.
you can't keep tricking your body. It's almost like your dog. Like you keep punishing your dog for something and then they do something wrong and they know the punishment is coming. Your
Right.
body actually starts
Right.
acting like we can't keep tricking the dog. We can't keep tricking. Like when you pretend to throw the ball and the dog
Yeah.
sits there and stares at you, like,
There's no
I know you're just
reaction.
pretending. Like
Yeah.
your body is like, you can't keep tricking me like this. So
Yep.
that
Yep.
I think your story is one that a lot of people feel. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited that you're sharing it because a lot of people feel so much shame about being almost 300 pounds, especially talking to somebody that looks like me. And I
Yeah.
love the fact that you have the confidence enough to talk about that.
And that's what I've been like. Okay, so before I started on the GLP-1 journey, I was like, okay, let me see a doctor, get blood work done, and just try to like do a little bit by myself. And I did lose 15 pounds on my own. But it starts to feel like an insurmountable goal. And then on the other hand, I started to think I need to, because you have people in your life that, we're in a culture of accepting now. It's different, and that's beautiful. But at the same time,
But it's not healthy.
you have a bunch of friends saying, "Well, you look good. Oh, you're beautiful." And it's like, "Well, I might be beautiful, but I'm fat." And it's okay. Those two are not mutually exclusive, you
Correct.
know?
And you're brilliant. I know you personally, so I know that you are absolutely brilliant. So when we're not, if somebody were to say, I talk about fat shaming all the
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
just pointing out that you have weight to lose is not fat shaming you.
No.
Saying you're ugly or you're unintelligent because you're overweight is fat shaming.
Right. Yeah, that's a really
So
good
we've got to
distinction.
stop saying like,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
fat shame me because I pointed it out. And you've always been somebody who's very honest about
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And so, yeah, back to my point is, when I, got to that all-time high of 297 pounds, I thought I'm going to start telling people because there's so much shame surrounding saying the number. But I
Yeah.
think when you say the number, people who can't relate are like, oh, wow, I really don't have room to comment because this is serious. People who can relate are like, oh, okay. Hey, I'm there. And if she can do it, I can do it. So I've been really open lately with just telling people my current weight, my high weight, goal weights. I'm like, I want to remove the shame about saying what your weight is.
Yeah, you were really great. You came in and did your eVolt scan the other day, which,
Yeah.
by the way, one of the best eVolt scans I've seen of any GLP-1 client. Like I was
Oh,
so blown away by it. Your
cool.
muscle mass, you had a muscle surplus, your visceral body fat was coming. I was blown away by it. But
Cool.
even in front of those ladies, as you were doing your scan, you were very honest and open
Yes.
in front of them. And
Hmm.
when you left, multiple clients said, I want to learn to be like that. We
Oh, cool.
inspire, it is cool, right? We
Yeah.
inspire so many people by telling people our journeys. Like I tell
Hmm.
people my menopause journey all the time. I also
Yeah.
tell people my mom's weight loss journey, which was ended in tragedy, actually.
Right. Right.
dementia caused from,
Yeah.
now we really truly believe blood sugar issues cause
Gut,
dementia. So
gut health, stuff like that, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I'm really honest about my journey. I talk about my mom's journey a lot. And I appreciate the fact you were so open and honest the other day, because you
Thanks.
inspired a lot of ladies the other day in
Good.
the video. So what has your total weight loss been?
So let's see. Well, guess what? I reached 239 the other day after I saw you. So I'm in the 230s, but my high weight of 297 will do the math. That's 58 pounds.
58 pounds. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I know you
Mhm.
lost, like you said, you lost 15 pounds before.
So
And
so it's
then, yeah,
43-ish.
but I want the whole total, because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
truly believe you would have been stuck at that 15 pounds had you not done the weight care.
I agree. I agree. So so I started in March. I remember I had the conversation with you early this year. Oh, I was finally ready to take the step because I was afraid.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I've known you for years. People don't know that, but Sharon and I
Yeah.
know each other. And I didn't know the extent that you were working with the GLP-1s. And when we started talking about it, and I'm like, okay, this is something I want to do. And it took me, I think, like a month to 6 weeks after we initially talked about it to
Yeah.
actually pull the trigger. And then once I did, oh gosh, I've never been happier.
So tell us what makes you happy about it.
Okay. The first thing, and the first thing I noticed the first week on the smallest dose, is that the mind connection is not there with I would be thinking about what I'm going to eat before I even finish lunch, for dinner. Or say you're a little bit hungry for dinner and I'm in the car, it's like, okay, well, I can't wait. I need food right now. Something as simple as ordering dinner with my husband, and if there was leftovers, if I didn't get my equal share, I'd be like, you ate the leftovers. It's like, that's like not a fun way to live, where you're
No.
counting on food. You're um kind of like placing more value on food than people in your life at times. Like,
Yeah.
especially the fights I would have with Connor about leftovers. I'd be like, you ate that. And I'm like, after I'm on a GLP-1, like, he would say, I left stuff in the fridge for you. I'm like, oh my gosh, I like shocked this man
Yeah.
because he thinks he can't eat food in the fridge. And now I'm like, I don't even care. Still now, it's been how long? 6, 7 months? No,
Yeah.
it's been almost, yeah, 7 months. He'll still like default to our old patterns of like, we have some leftovers. Are you sure it's okay if I eat them? And I have to remind him, like, I'm not the same as I used to be, which is like so weird that I was so tethered to having
What's
food
mine?
as,
Mine, mine,
yeah,
mine.
it's mine, mine. And I need this. I need this. I
Mhm.
need this. And it's like
And I
goes
think
away
that's
immediately.
twofold. I think that's the food noise, and I think it's anxiety. So
Yeah.
when I started taking tirzepatide, things I didn't even know I was anxious about things, not just food. I was anxious about food, and I didn't
Yeah.
like to share, but
Yeah.
I was anxious about traffic. I was anxious about time. I didn't realize I hate being late. I've been obsessed with
Mhm.
time since I was a child. My obsession with time and traffic went away. And I'm not somebody who I would never say I suffer from anxiety, but I noticed the
Mhm.
minute I started taking tirzepatide, the three things that I then realized I was anxious about were food, time, and traffic. All three have vastly diminished. Like they're down to maybe like 1% of the time I have
Mhm.
anxiety about those things.
Mhm. I'm sleeping so much better since I started. And I
Yeah.
think that's directly related to like anxiety. So whatever the effects on the brain that these medications have is like so positive in terms of a lot of anxious behavior and thoughts
Even
and
if you
things like
don't lose the weight, like even for those
yeah.
clients that aren't losing weight, they have all these other benefits, which is amazing.
Yeah. Like for example, and I know a lot of people have experienced this, and I was never a huge drinker, but I really enjoyed socially drinking.
Yes.
I have no desire to drink anymore. It's just like I went to dinner with some friends and ordered a drink and had a couple sips and was like, this doesn't really, I
Yeah.
don't want this. So yeah, it's even just like across the board, just like feeling a little bit more settled and not tethered to food and substances and anxious feelings and things like that.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. And you are probably one of hundreds of
Yeah.
patients of mine that have all said the same thing.
Yeah.
And I love that conversation because yes, it's about weight loss. For me, GLP-1s, about 10% of it is about weight loss. The other 90%, I have a client that broke her back.
Hmm.
She had this neurological, she was not large. She had terrible neurological pain. I had her go to one of my doctors. They gave her a GLP-1 off-label for neurological pain. She has never slept better. She has no anxiety, and all of her neurological pain went away within weeks,
Mhm.
not months,
Yeah,
weeks. And so,
it's
yeah, to your
amazing.
point.
Yeah, yeah. I have a friend who recently started it, and I don't know about his medical providers, but to help quit smoking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's mind blowing. Once, and that's why I want to normalize these conversations about GLP-1s because there's so much misinformation out there about how they're dangerous or how they're bad for you or how
yeah.
there's not enough of the people talking about, like, I have a friend. And because we're so afraid to tell people we're using them because of the shame around it,
Hmm.
then the shame around using the
Yeah,
GLP-1 is also out
right,
there. So nobody's
right.
talking about it. And then now you're so open and honest about it, you don't care. And you've got a friend that's like, oh, by the way, I am too. And
Yes,
then you
and
all start talking.
I didn't tell you. I was telling one of my brothers, he's just like me. Food is a reward system. Food is stress. Food is everything, right? And he's only 30, but he's noticing now he's bigger than he's ever been. He's got a really stressful job. And I said, "Hey, I'm on it. You should consider it." So this is months ago. I told that to him. In the meantime, my cousin comes out to visit, and we're just updating each other from the car ride to the airport. And I told her, like, "So I'll tell you what's up with me. I'm on a GLP-1." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I was just about to tell you that I'm on one, and I thought you were a safe person to tell because you don't judge." And so now the three of us in our family, all on my dad's side of the family with the weight problems, we have now a fourth in the cousin group that's we're all on them and we're all thriving. And the biggest thing we all say is that the mental connection like is gone. So we can just concentrate on making healthy choices.
What were your worst side effects?
Nausea. And so what's funny is I've always been a very nauseated person. I have a weak stomach. I've been known to throw up at the drop of a hat. I smell like a hard-boiled egg, which I don't like. Y'all gag. So nausea, and a little bit of vomiting here and there, but nothing
And that was
unbearable.
early on.
Yeah, that's early on when I increased 0.25 and zero point 0.5 were fine. When you do like the little bit of the increase is when I would feel it, and then fine.
It passes relatively quickly.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of constipation, but again, that's been a theme in my life. So you just like make sure your fiber and water intake is there. So
Do you feel like the side effects were worth the reward?
for sure, 100%. I know someone who's like, I can't take the nausea. And I'm like, I'll take the nausea any day of my life to have this mental clarity and to be able to just like, I know what's a normal person, but I feel like I'm living life like a normal person who's not obsessed with food.
Yeah, I felt that when I started taking tirzepatide, nobody would prescribe it to me. And finally, one of the doctors prescribed it to me off label. They were like, "You don't need it for weight loss." I'm like, "I don't want it for weight loss. I want it
Yeah,
for all these other benefits."
right.
And then I did gain about 8 pounds in a very like in weeks because of menopause. And then
Hmm.
my hormone replacement doctor was like, "Yes, I'll prescribe you one. I don't know
Hmm.
why nobody
Hmm.
else would."
Yeah.
But so he finally prescribed me it. But that was the thing that I noticed too. Like where the
Mhm.
was I I didn't feel nauseous, but I felt overly full. Like I ate a massive
Okay.
meal and it was like
Okay.
sitting up top. And I could see how some people think that's nauseous. For me, I'm not a nauseous person. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
didn't really relate it to nausea.
Yeah.
But the mental clarity I got from being on them, I was like, I'll take that feeling all day long
That's
if I
right.
can feel like this 99% of the
That's
time.
right. And the thing I found that helped tremendously is I just drink a lot of water, and that made the nausea go away. So
And eat an
whenever I'm,
apple. I noticed
yeah,
eat an apple and drink a ton of water and I feel
drink a ton
great.
of water. Yep.
Yeah.
So
And that's the theme that I think most people will tell you is like, yes, there's a little bit of side effect, but it's well worth it for all of these other benefits.
that's exactly how I feel.
If you could give our listeners a word of advice about GLP-1s, what would it be?
Don't listen to research on the internet. Don't read people's horror stories. Talk to a professional because I think a lot of us fall victim to hearing like anecdotal stories. I had a horrible experience with this. Get the information from a professional because a lot of times it will then ease any of the fears like it did with me. And I
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I would have maybe done this earlier had I not been so afraid and, been reading clickbait articles and things like that. So talk to a professional, see if it's right for you. I actually have a really great primary care physician now who is on board with this, and she's so compassionate. And it's like, the first time in my life that I felt like an MD has been on board
Yeah, they're not
with like,
shaming you and telling you to
I was
work
just
out and
going to
eat
say,
less. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So yeah, do your research and find professionals that know what they're talking about. Yeah.
And I want to point out, you're on semaglutide. You're not on tirzepatide. And so we do see more
Correct.
side effects on semaglutide than tirzepatide.
Mhm.
And you've really had very little side effects, but
Very
man,
little.
you had a massive benefit on the other
Yes.
side.
Yep.
Well, Jack, I want to thank you for coming and having a conversation with me. I really appreciate it. And I
Thanks for
hope you
having
have a good
me.
day.
Yes, you too, Sharon. Bye.
So that was Jacqueline, and I hope her story inspires some of you to just take a look at your weight and see what you can do. I want to thank you for tuning into the WeightCare Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you are ready to see if GLP-1s are right for you, you are going to go to joinweightcare.com. We will be back in 2 weeks with another exciting episode. So until then, keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing, and thanks for listening. Ciao for now. The WeightCare Podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The content shared here represents the views and opinions of the host and guests and should not be considered medical, health, or professional advice. The podcast is not a substitute for individualized care from qualified medical providers. Please consult with your healthcare provider before making decisions that may affect your health and wellness. Any statements about treatments, health protocols, or medications discussed are based on personal experience or professional expertise and may not be suitable for everyone. Always seek personalized advice from a licensed healthcare professional who understands your specific health needs.